When guests at a Los Angeles hotel turned on their taps in February of 2013, the water ran black. It smelled foul, tasted worse. No one knew why. Not until a worker climbed onto the roof and opened one of the water tanks. Inside was Elisa Lam. She'd been missing for weeks, and the last time anyone saw her alive was on a grainy security camera inside the hotel's elevator. The footage is infamous. Elisa steps in. She presses a column of buttons like she's trying every floor at once. She peeks out, hides, then peeks again. Her hands move like she's pushing someone away, someone you can't see. The doors refuse to close. Finally, she steps into the hallway and vanishes, and that was the last time she was seen alive. Elisa was 21, traveling alone, a student visiting Los Angeles. The Cecil Hotel was cheap, close to downtown, and in her budget. She didn't know its reputation. Locals already called it cursed. By the 1960s, the building had earned a nickname, the Suicide Hotel. Guests leapt from windows, overdosed in hallways. In 1964, a woman was found strangled in her room. In the 1980s, Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, lived here while killing his way across the city. Another killer followed in the 1990s. The Cecil didn't just house victims, it sheltered predators, and Elisa walked straight into it. When she disappeared, police searched the building top to bottom. Dogs traced her scent to a window, then lost it. Her room stood empty, her belongings untouched, no signs of where she went. The footage spread online, millions rewinding it frame by frame. Some swore a shadow moved near the door. Others said she was talking to someone just out of frame. Paranormal theorists claimed she was possessed. Skeptics called it mental illness. But while the whole world obsessed over the elevator video, inside the hotel, something else was happening. Weeks passed, and then came the complaints. Guests showered in foul water, brushed their teeth with it, even drank it. The tanks were inspected. The lid was heavy. The doors to the roof were supposed to be locked, alarmed. And yet, there she was, floating. The official cause of death was drowning, but how she got into that tank has never been answered. If she climbed in herself, how did she close the lid? If someone put her there, how did they avoid the alarms? Theories pile up. None of them fit cleanly. What's undeniable is this: the Cecil has a history of swallowing people, and Elisa Lam became its most famous victim. Since then, the hotel has changed names, changed signs, changed owners, but it hasn't changed its skin. Ask anyone who stayed there. They'll tell you the air feels heavy, the elevators feel wrong, and the silence in the halls presses close, like the walls are listening. Because some hotels collect memories, and some collect bodies. Even now, the Cecil stands in downtown Los Angeles like a wound that never closes, a building with too many stories carved into its walls, literally. And every time its doors open to an empty hallway, people remember Elisa Lam, the girl who never checked out. If you stepped into that elevator, would you press the buttons Elisa did? It was just after midnight on August 9th, 2013, a dark highway in rural Texas, and a 26-year-old father of four named Brandon Lawson pulled over and dialed 911. His voice was frantic. The operator asked what was happening. Brandon said, "Yes, I'm in the middle of a field. I pulled some guys over. We're not talking about a car. Please hurry." Then the line cut. That was the last time anyone ever heard from him. Earlier that night, Brandon had argued with his girlfriend, Ladessa. He stormed out of the house, got in his truck, and drove off into the dark. His brother Kyle later said Brandon sounded shaken when he called him for help, said he was being chased, that he was hiding in the woods. Brandon's truck was found on the side of Highway 277 near Bronte, Texas. Doors unlocked, fuel tank empty, no sign of him. The police arrived. They searched the truck. Nothing inside suggested foul play. But the 911 call told a different story. Brandon didn't sound like a man who ran out of gas. He sounded like a man running for his life. In the recording, he says there are guys chasing him, and that he needs the cops. Then something garbled. Some swear he says, "I ran into them." Others hear, "They're chasing me." The audio is debated line by line, but one part is crystal clear. "We're not talking about a car." Officers searched the area that night but found nothing. They thought maybe Brandon wandered off. Maybe he was hiding. Maybe he'd return by morning. But morning came, and Brandon didn't. His family begged for more searches. Weeks turned into months. Rumors spread. Some said drugs were involved. Others said it was the cartel. Some whispered something darker stalked him in those fields. All anyone had was that chilling 911 call. Years passed, and the case became internet legend. People played the audio on repeat, trying to decode every word. Was Brandon describing an accident, or was he warning about people hiding on that dark road? Why did his voice break into panic right before the line went silent? Theories exploded. Murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, or that Brandon saw something he wasn't supposed to see in the middle of nowhere. In 2022, almost a decade later, a volunteer search group finally discovered human remains near the area where Brandon vanished. DNA confirmed they belonged to him, but the questions never left. Why did he sound so terrified? Who were the guys he said he saw? And what did he mean when he said, "We're not talking about a car"? Even with answers, the recording remains one of the most unsettling pieces of evidence ever captured. A man alone on a dark Texas highway begging for help. Then, silence. Some mysteries fade with time, but not this one. Because once you've heard Brandon Lawson's final call, you can't unhear it. When Brandon said, "We're not talking about a car," what do you think he meant? It started in a farmhouse in Tennessee in the early 1800s. The Bell family, ordinary, religious, respected in their community. Then one night, the noises began, knocking on the walls, scratching under the floors, chains dragging across wood. At first, they thought it was animals. Then the whispers came, a woman's voice, faint at first, but then it got louder, calling their names. The Bell Witch, that's what people call it now. But to the family, it wasn't folklore. It was something in their house, and it hated them. The beds shook violently, blankets ripped off in the dark, children slapped by invisible hands. The youngest daughter, Betsy, became its target. Neighbors swore they saw her hair pulled, her body lifted, and thrown to the ground with no one near her. Word spread, visitors came, and the spirit spoke. Clear, loud, answering questions, mocking prayers. It sang hymns, quoted scripture, and then turned vulgar and threatening. By 1819, the haunting was so famous that Andrew Jackson himself, future president of the United States, visited the Bell home. He came with soldiers, ready to prove it was a hoax. But when their wagons approached the property, the wheels locked tight in the dirt. No one could move them. Jackson reportedly said, "By the eternal, boys, it is the witch." They left before morning. The haunting got violent. John Bell, the father, grew ill. He complained of being choked by invisible hands. He wasted away. One morning, he was found dead. Next to him, a strange vial of liquid. The family swore the voice of the witch cackled and said, "I gave old Jack a dose of that last night, fixed him real good." To this day, John Bell is considered the only person in American history whose death was officially blamed on a spirit. Betsy, the daughter, broke off her engagement after the entity warned her not to marry. Her fiancé reported being tormented by phantom voices until he left her. The haunting slowly quieted after John Bell's death, but it never truly ended. Even now, the Bell Witch Cave near the old farm is said to still be active. Visitors claim to hear footsteps, whispers. Some are shoved by hands they can't see. Others say photos taken inside the cave come back warped, filled with strange faces. What makes the Bell Witch different is how many people claim to have witnessed it. Neighbors, ministers, even a future president. It wasn't just one family's story, it was a whole town's. 2 centuries later, skeptics call it myth. Believers call it the most documented haunting in American history. But one detail always lingers: John Bell's death certificate. The cause was simple, chilling, and unique: death by witch. Do you believe John Bell really died by witch? Or is it just a myth?